Welcome back to the NCAA Division I Great Lakes Championships. I'm Dennis Young, joined on the mic by Scott McPherson. Scotty Mack, thank you for joining us here in Terre Haute.
Glad to be back in the cross-country capital of the U.S.
Yes, pretty exciting women's race in which Michigan and Michigan State punched their tickets. We believe Wisconsin will be set, and then after that, we're not sure. Now on the men's side, Wisconsin trying to make it back, trying to not miss their second meet in 3 years. Michigan and Michigan State, the top-ranked flow teams. Michigan number 14, Michigan State number 17. Wisconsin, right now we have them 25th. They've been, kind of coming on strong, which is where you want to be in November. They were 25th at the Nutty Invite at their home meet, but then ran much better at Big Tens, went 1-2 there with Ollie Hoare and Joe Hardy. And so now they are trying to get a bid. It's going to be tough. They don't have basically any points, but if they get in the top two, Michigan State could get in.
Definitely coming on stronger towards the end of the season. They got 25th at their home meet at the Nutty Comb Invitational. That is, not exactly what everyone was expecting to see. They are the only team, however, that has an individual ranked on our flow rankings. So
that's right, number 25, Ollie Hoare, and they have Morgan McDonald among their 12 entrants today. They have said all fall they're planning on redshirting the Australian, the 13-15 stud, while they wait for, they're hosting NCAAs at the Zimmer. So you take a look at our top returners from last year. The top returner, Jarrett Carpenter of Purdue.
He was 7th at the Big Ten meet this year.
And then Evan Stiefel of Ohio State, Yuan Makepeace of Butler, Aaron Baumgarten and Billy Bund of Michigan, though their top runners this year have been Ben Flanagan, the Canadian, mix it up with Justin Knight in high school, same province there.
Flanagan's been the team captain there at Michigan for 4 years, now under Kevin Sullivan. Sullivan's doing a great job. Mentioned that, again, his job with the Michigan team is just to solidify a spot, so I don't think you're going to see a really dominating performance.
Right.
They're a favorite coming in, but they just want to make sure that they're on the line in Louisville next week.
And again, those are the top returners. But at the Big Tens, we went Ollie Hoare and Joe Hardy were 1-2, the Wisco guys. Then Clark Ruiz. Then the young stud Ben Veach, the sophomore from Indiana, was a 850 high school 2-miler. Morgan Beadlescombe, the Michigan State sophomore, was 5th. Those 5 and Ben Flanagan all finished ahead of Carpenter. So it could be a new order in the Great Lakes this year.
Great when you see, young guys coming back. I mean, Jarrett Carpenter, only a sophomore, and he's your top returner, right? And again, the big story is Morgan McDonald not being here. Is he redshirting? He's technically on the start list, but from everything we've heard and known, he's redshirting this year. Again, he's from Sydney, Australia, 13:15.83. He was 2nd here last year.
And that's, Morgan is going to be in the NCAA system for another full calendar year.
Right.
Really speaks to how things have evolved. I mean, Scott, you're not exactly an old man, but not too long ago when you were in the NCAA system competing for Arkansas, you were in 13-15. You're done with NCAAs.
Absolutely.
Now Morgan McDonald doesn't even have an NCAA title.
No, it's unbelievable. You look at him and Justin Knight. I mean, these two guys are sub 13.25K guys, and they're still in it.
Justin Knight's looking
titles
for his first individual title.
Absolutely,
as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a different ball game. I remember talking to one of the Arkansas legends, Jason Sanford, and he qualified for cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track national championships every single year. He was a 4-time All-American in cross country, and the guy, his PR was, low 14 minutes for the 5K, and he was at every single indoor national championship in the 5K. So it's just, that it's a great time, don't get me wrong, but, in today's NCAA, it's just not going to get you to the championship.
Right.
It's kind of fun. I mean, I think that as the times are improving, the runners are getting better. That shows what a mental game this sport really is, because, maybe if you and I were running nowadays, we'd be even faster than we were back then, because, you got to step up your
survive,
game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So last year at this meet, Wisconsin and Michigan State were the auto advancers. Michigan State tied with Indiana. The tiebreak is the countdown to the top 5. Then Eastern Michigan. Then the Michigan men, only 5th last year, didn't make it to NCAAs. So they are trying to make it back to Louisville this year.
Absolutely.
And they are the top-ranked team coming in as we take a look at our top teams. Very nice. The top 10 regional teams here, Michigan, Michigan State, and Wisconsin, all ranked nationally, 14, 17, 25. Wisconsin needs that auto bid. They need to finish in the top 2. They might be in a lot of trouble for making this meet. Then Purdue, number 4, with our boy J.O., first-year head coach, former Stanford assistant. Eastern Michigan, number 5. Butler, number 6. Indy, number 7. Notre Dame, number 8. Miami, number 9. And Oakland, Michigan, number 10.
There you go.
As we see the guys on the start line, we are 2 minutes away from the start of this race. 10K here, Scott.
10K, two-looper. It's a 5K course, so they'll come by. They'll pass the 5K right at the finish line, then head out again. That means they got this long straightaway. So, I mean, as we mentioned in the women's race, this is about 800 meters to the first turn, and you climb uphill and drop down towards that first turn. And as we mentioned in the women's race, man, it is an all-out sprint to get a position for that curve.
And even in the 10K, I mean, these guys will be, the bulk of these guys will be running for about 32 minutes or so. They'll be high 31s, low 32 in a windy day like today. Why are they spending that first K, going to the wall?
Again, it's positioning. So it is kind of a wide course. There's plenty of room out there, but people tend to pack up in the back curves of this course. So what you're going to see is people trying to get where they want to finish, or try to get within 20 places of where you want to finish, because we got.
As you see, the athletes are off here.
And so, take us to
that first K again, yeah.
Yeah, that first K. So, as you see, I mean, this is an all-out sprint. These guys are putting the pedal all the way down, and then it doesn't bottleneck, which is nice. There's a lot of room, so it's not like you have to squeeze in real close, but you'll see as they get up to the top of this hill towards the finish line, they're going to start to condense, and you'll see the packs form up. Again, 268 runners, 30 teams. The big ones we're looking at: Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Purdue, Eastern Michigan. Wisconsin went 1-2 here last year. Obviously didn't have a great start to the year. You can see Wisconsin in the all-white kits. They're just to the right in the middle there. Look like they're bunched up and running well.
As you see, I believe that's Hoare kind of just looking around. He's got the Notre Dame guys next to him, Butler next to him. Let's see, 45, that is Hoare looking around. You also have 43, that's Joe Hardy with the long hair. They're not running McDonald, as we kind of anticipated. Hardy grooming himself a little bit up front. As we see Wisconsin in the center of your screen, Butler, Eastern Michigan as well, Purdue on the side there. So we get the nice overhead shot of the full field, about 400 meters into this race. Michigan, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. As we'll lose you for a second here, but this is the only time we believe we will lose the runners. And we're glad you're with us. Glad to have you with us for the next half hour. As these teams are trying to punch their tickets again. Top 2 teams automatically qualified. Then it's all interconnected. It all depends on, as right now, the projection are no at-large teams from the Great Lakes. But if Wisconsin can break up the 2 Michigan teams, either of those teams are well positioned because they have points from, the Nutty invite.
Yeah,
ironically at Wisconsin.
Lots of pressure on Wisconsin right now. Again, they finished 25th at their home meet, so they don't have the points acquired to get that at-large bid unless they can take out one of the Michigan teams here today.
Now, if some craziness transpires across the country, for example, if someone they beat somehow comes out of a region and they pick up a point, maybe, but yeah,
right.
So you never want to be too definitive in our statements about this incredibly complicated process, and Scott, you were on Arkansas teams that were lucky to almost never have to worry about it.
It's very true, yeah. And, a lot of that depends on your region. And, you look at some of the mountain region, you look at the Pacific regions, and, man, it's a dogfight every year to get into that national championship.
Yeah, the men's mountain region this year, probably the top 2 teams in the country. Colorado, maybe it could be between BYU, NAU, and Colorado could be the 3 best teams in the country. As you come across 1K, nothing crazy. I mean, it's going to be faster than they run. That's 250. They're not. None of these guys are going to run 29 minutes.
But again, they do get out hard. That first 800 meters, I said, is a sprint. I was always lactic by the time you hit the first curve. And then now you see they're kind of getting into a rhythm. So everyone's kind of in the position they want to be. Looks like we got a guy from Eastern Michigan might be leading us here. And, what you're going to see is everyone settling in, a gigantic lead pack. I mean, obviously we're not even at the mile yet. You can see Wisconsin is bunched up as a team right in the middle there. Again, they got a lot of pressure on them this year, so we'll see what they can do when it counts.
And they embrace that pressure. You talk to Mick Byrne about get him rolling about being a Badger. They take pride in the history of that program, and they want that pressure. And that history.
Absolutely,
they want to continue that history. So you see Joe Hardy with the long hair in the middle of the pack there. And we were talking earlier during the women's race, but often in Terre Haute, the course itself is a grinder. The ground is a little squishy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of turns, but a big challenge here, of course, perennially is the conditions. It's just wide open. It's cold. It's windy. We see most of these guys are opting for gloves. Some are opting for arm sleeves. It's about 30 degrees out right now. It is.
And right now they are straight into that headwind on the backside of the course. So this area right here where they're at is actually the 6K marker on the second loop. So it's a long straightaway. Again, they basically ran past the finish at the start, down to the first curve at 1K, and they got a long stretch back along these trees here. We can see them out our window over across the course here, and the 2K is going to come on the other side of the course. They're going to turn back towards the middle. We call these the fingers. That's what the runners always referred to them as. So you come to Terre Haute, you run on these fingers, and it's just monotonous, and it's exhausting because you're going one way, you got to go right back the other way. And again, they're fighting wind every time that they run east on this course. So
they settled in a little bit. Looks like they crossed the mile mark at about 4:53 on our clock. So pretty conservative pace there up front.
Right, and again, that's what we kind of mentioned. Kevin Sullivan had said he's not looking to knock anyone's socks off. They just got to get to nationals. So, Michigan's going to run a smart race. You got Michigan State with Coach Walt Drenth, and he's, again, they're in that number 2 spot. They're ranked 17 on the Flow rankings, but, if Wisconsin can really step up, which they did at the Big Ten championships.
Again, only 6 points behind Michigan State at Big Tens.
So if they step up like they did at Big Tens, then we could have one heck of a race on our hands here. So here's the turn, right? So this turn is going to take them, now they're traveling south on the course again. They're heading towards the 2K mark, which they should pass. And you look at these guys, they're just cruising along. They're jogging. I mean, this is a really comfortable race.
About 8 or so across, and then maybe, that might be about the first 100 guys in the group there. And you
Michigan.
See all the Michigan, yes, exactly.
All 6 Michigan guys right up there. And they're not running hard. They are cruising. This is a comfortable pace. This is tempo pace for a lot of these guys, about 5 minutes a mile. These guys can crush 8 to 10 miles at 5 minutes a mile, right? So this being a 10K race, they're very within themselves.
So that's Ben Hill from Michigan, and then I think that's Eastern Michigan Kit there. We lost the number there, but it's not going to dictate the outcome of this race. Who's pushing right now? Obviously, the Michigan team has gotten comfortable. You saw the Wisconsin guys up there; they seem to have tucked in a little bit right now. But there's only a second or two separating the top 40 or so.
Oh yeah, easily. And again, we talked about that in the women's race. It's just the massive runners on this course. I mean, it's 15 seconds could be 150 places. We used to run this. This was our nationals course every year when I was in college. And John McDonnell, legendary coach, University of Arkansas, he used to tell us this is a 5K race, right? You get out hard in the first 800 meters, and everyone settles in for the next 4K, right?
Over the fingers.
Right, and then over the fingers, and then you come through the start-finish area again, and that's when the race starts. That's when you got to start digging deep, and that's when you're going to see people going backwards, people going forwards, and hopefully you're going forwards, But unfortunately, I was going backwards most of the time when I ran here, but that's old news. I mean, yeah, you were right. It's still about 6 or 7 guys across here, super comfortable. There's some stragglers off the back of that pack, but the majority of the runners in the field are in this lead pack. Individually, again, we're looking at Jarrett Carpenter. He was your top returner, 7th place last year. He was 7th at the Big Ten championships. Evan Stiefel, the Ohio State Buckeyes. He was the top finisher for the Buckeyes at all 2016 cross-country races. So he's been, a go-to guy for them for a while. Ewan McPeace, he is running for Butler, and he is 9th. He was 9th here last year. He was 3rd at the Big East last year. He's from the UK, so we'll see what he can do. Michigan now, a little more dominant. I think they're still running within themselves, but you can see at least one of their runners is kind of stretching his legs out a little bit.
So You see Hardy out of Wisconsin up there. One Wisconsin athlete going with the red and white hat with the there must be a word that I don't know that means the dot at the top of the winner hat.
The beanie with the fuzzy ball on top of it. I love that look. I ran my best marathon ever. I ran with a fuzzy ball on top of my head.
Did you keep the fuzzy ball on for all 26 miles?
I actually threw it to my parents at about mile 20. So
wow, that's 20 miles of a fuzzy ball though.
I know. Well, Bill Rogers did it, so I figured if he does it, I could do it. But he's a legend though. He ran a little bit faster than I did.
Not that much faster than that.
So you see those flags now. They are running straight into that headwind. They're running north on the course, so it's a northern wind. And, again, super comfy. This is where it gets a little sketchy, too, as a runner because everyone's running so slow. It's not your normal stride. So you're going to be tripping over ankles. You're going to be getting little pushes, little punches on the back. I mean, you can see one of the guys in the orange kit there just kind of pushed his way through some of the Purdue runners. I mean, it's a pretty aggressive race.
So that's 3K and about 9:25. Wow, they've slowed down significantly.
Absolutely.
From that 250 first K. So that's Billy Bund and Ben Hill of Michigan, then Joe Hardy of Wisconsin with the long hair. Be a 9:25 at 3,000. Hopefully, we have a team score for you, but wouldn't make too much of it at this point as you take a look at the map. They're coming around that finger, and that's basically 4 turnarounds of the wind in pretty quick succession. So almost like a fartlek out there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it ends up being. They're running a really consistent pace, but what they're ending up doing is because of the undulations and the wind, you're exerting more work in one of these fingers, and then you turn around, come north again, and you get to relax a little bit. It's just kind of going to be an ebb and a flow. And that's what this course ends up doing is it just kind of slowly tears down all your energy.
So we see the 2 Michigan guys followed closely by their team. Hardy kind of looking around, try to get an ID on the second Wisco athlete and the athlete in the red top.
You know who I'm not seeing a lot of?
34.
There they are, Michigan State, kind of middle of the pack, right against the rail there. There's at least 3 or 4 of their runners. So right now, I mean, Wisconsin. Oh, we had someone go down right against the fence down there.
Oh, the Craig Lutz. Hopefully that was not taken down by a stray fan taking a selfie on the course there. That's 15:38. Chris Negri of Dayton pushing the pace right now. And then you see Eastern Michigan pretty solidly up there. Eastern Michigan in the sharp yellow bottoms and the old school green kit. I think that's Carpenter of Purdue. Is now maybe with the wind at their back, you see these guys kind of cracking a little bit, and you see Wisco is up there. Wisco has 5 athletes up there.
Wisco's got all their scorers in position. So
and their Big Ten champ Ali Hoare kind of just sitting at the back of their group.
And again, we touched on this in the women's race. It's not the day to break records and run away from the field, right? This is a day, especially for a guy like Ali. He's leading that Wisconsin team. He just needs to help his team get to nationals, and the only way they're going to do that is if they beat one of the Michigan teams. And right now, Michigan State is hanging back. They're in the second half of this lead pack, so you hope they don't get buried too much. We'll see, when they start to move up, because inevitably they're going to start to make a move. And like I said, it's probably going to be as they go through 5K and start that second loop.
Now, for individuals, like you see Chris Negri of Dayton, and I think that's Carpenter of Purdue. Do you kind of capitalize if you're running as an individual on the fact that maybe these studs from that's actually Jeremy Craven of Purdue.
Well, he's having a race then.
Do you try to capitalize on maybe the other guys running conservative? Do you kind of throw some bids in there, see if you can kind of sneak up on them?
Well, any race like this that's going to go a little slower is going to give the runner who might not necessarily be a top 10 finisher a chance to be in there, right? That's a beautiful thing about running. You run the race because you don't know who's going to win. Everyone's got a chance. All 268 guys that were on the starting line, depending on how the day goes, they could have the race of their life. So you see the guys like some of these Purdue runners are really, putting their nose out there and, hanging in, and they're going to use a lot of these teams to draft off of. They're going to try their best to finish as high as they can. And again, top 4 individuals not on a qualifying team in the top 25 are going to get that chance to go race in Louisville next week.
And as they crossed that 4K mark in about 12:31, so nothing crazy going on here. But again, you see, the guys are pumping away a little bit. As you see the Eastern Michigan athlete, Hill and Bund of Michigan in 3rd and 4th, and I think that's Craven of Purdue.
That blue team in there could be Butler.
I think
and
that's
if
Butler.
it
I think
is,
that's Butler for
man,
sure.
they
Butler
got
8th last year.
They got 3 in the top 10 right now. Still early, granted, but they're running as a pack, and you can get your teammates together and run like that. You're gonna have a good day.
We're used to seeing Butler, mix it up on the national stage. They only 14 points behind Georgetown, beat Villanova at Big East this year.
Mm-hmm. I got a chance to run with some of the Butler guys. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and those guys take their training serious. It was an easy 10-mile run that day, but man, they got there, they stretched, they rolled out, they were doing almost strides and drills, and I'm sitting there, drinking my coffee like, hey, this is going to be easy 10-mile run, right?
Right.
But no, man, we started, and they don't mess around for the first couple miles. They get right after it. So that's a program, notoriously has done really well in the distance running. See, the gloves are coming off here.
Yes. And when you were there, as Coach Joe Franklin was at Butler. Now he's at New Mexico. Matt Rowe has kind of picked up the pieces, done a great job keeping that going. The gloves are indeed off. That's I think that's 83 or 63 of Eastern Michigan. That is Lahsene Bouchikhi of Eastern Michigan.
Purdue's got 2 guys in the top 15 or so here. Oh, make that 3 guys. So Purdue's looking pretty good.
Shout out to J.O., first year of that program
Yep.
in Lafayette, Indiana, doing a great job.
So again, our favorites, so to speak, Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, the bubble team. They really need to take out one of those Michigan teams if they want a chance at making it to Louisville for November 18th's national championship, which will also be brought to you on Flow Track.
Now, the Eastern Michigan guys, Hlynur Andresson and Lahsene Bouchikhi, they went 1-2 at the MAC meet 2 weekends ago, and they're mixing it up here. You now see I don't even know what top that is. I think that's Central Michigan in the center. So now this is we were talking about, Scott, where the race really starts. And you're saying
Right.
Coach McDonald says it's a 5K race. You cross over the start line. Now they're about to cross over the finish, or run past the finish, I guess.
Yes.
And then it's time to go. 5K to go as they're basically crossing over 5K right here.
Right there, yep.
And now they're heading straight down that little hill after that little incline of the start.
Yep.
Or where the start is, I should say. And now they're just going to do it all again. So
They're going back through it. The wind's at their back right now, and they're just passing the finish line. So they're starting that downhill, like you said, towards the curve at the south end of the course. And these guys are fit, right? They've been training hard all year. They put in a lot of miles over the summer. So that first 5K for most of the guys in the race is pretty comfortable, right? So this is when you're going to start to see the pace picking up. This is when some guys are going to make some moves. And then towards the back end of this course, that's when they're going to have to start grinding. That's when it gets tough. That's when it becomes a mental game more than a physical game. You can only train so hard. Eventually, it's the guy who wants it the most, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens individually. I think that the team race is the story here today.
absolutely. Oh, yes. In cross country, you got 8 months of the year to watch track meets and watch individuals duke it out.
Right.
Now, I've only run the 8K on this course. How taxing is it mentally to come across that start finish, even if you're feeling good, and say, oh man, I got to do that exact same thing, identically again.
And it is exhausting, but it's a tough thing to think about. It's a tough aspect to conquer, but the backside of this course is the hard part, because you can see the little undulation, the hills, they're kind of always rolling. And again, this is the softest course I've ever run on. I mean, it is just a really squishy, soft grass, and it saps your legs, man. It takes all the energy out of your stride. Looks like Wisconsin.
The Hardy and Hoare have now made a bid. They went Hoare and Hardy went 1-2 at the Big Tens. And now we see those guys, followed by 2 Michigan athletes, as should be coming up on 6K in probably about a minute. So it's 2. Right now you've got 2 Wisconsin. That's going to be Hardy and Hoare. Then the 2 Michigan, who it was Bund and Hill for a while. Then Purdue, Eastern Michigan, Indiana. Indiana had a pack going earlier. But I'll tell you what, Scott, There are 5 Wisconsin athletes in the top 25 right now.
That is impressive, and they need it. I mean, that's what they have to do. They need to hold their spots. This is the point, they're going to pass Mick Byrne on the course here, and he's going to be saying, no one passes you. Don't let anyone pass you, because right now we're in, okay? So Wisconsin is looking strong, and
Michigan, I think Michigan, I see 4 of them. I do not see 5. I also see a couple I see 3 Michigan State athletes in there. So I think, and it's tough to, you don't want to make any bets here, but I think Wisconsin is in control of this race. The Michigan guys are obviously strong as well.
Right.
We got if they have, now I see at least 4 of them in there.
12 to 13 minutes still to run, and like we mentioned in the women's race, the last 600 meters is an absolute coin flip for athletes. I mean, you get passed by 40 guys in the last 20 meters of this race. It's a long home stretch. They are going to have the wind at their back, but it is a bit uphill. And you make that last turn, you can see the finish line, and a lot can change. So it'll be really interesting. It looks right now like this is going to come down to the 4th and 5th men on these teams, which, you run in high school cross country and, you think you're not important to the team because you're not winning the races. But, man, cross country, it always comes down to those 5th and 6th place finishers. So especially at this level.
Yeah, last year the auto bid came down to a tie between Michigan State and Indiana. I believe they were at 81 each. And, in the NCAA, unlike the high school level, it is you go through the top 5 and do basically the best of 5. As Wisconsin is controlling this race, I don't know if Mick wants them running this aggressive. It's a little early. By the way, Eastern Michigan has 4 athletes in there. Eastern Michigan, this is no joke. We are 20 minutes into this race. There's a little separation. Eastern Michigan has their entire top 4. That would be a hell of a run from them.
This is a 4-team race right now, and it's too close to call at this point. These guys, they do look comfortable. They're relaxed. They got a nice arm swing going. This is, in my opinion, one of the hardest parts of the course. You're on the backside. You're running against the trees. Right now they're going into the wind. There's a 4-mile marker they're passing. So, they're running 5-minute pace, a little bit slower. But, again, that should be pretty comfortable. On this grass, that's actually a pretty decent clip.
Right, less than half. If you think about 31 is right. 31 minutes for 10K is just under 5-minute pace.
Right.
31:15, and less than half the field at NCAAs is breaking 31 every year, and sometimes way fewer depending on the conditions. So, 45 for Wisconsin. That is Hoare, the Big Ten champ. Hardy looking very comfortable in there. How about Eastern Michigan though?
That's amazing. 4 guys in that lead pack. I don't think another team has 4 guys in that lead pack.
Wisconsin has 3. Purdue has 2. Michigan, I see 1, 2. Maybe a 3. You've got Butler has 2.
Yep.
But Eastern Michigan might be in control of this race right now. And, if their 5th is way back, if their 5th is in, 130th or whatever, obviously that's a problem for them. But it might not matter if they have 4 and right now that's 4 in the top 15.
And they got to hold it, right? So
Eastern Michigan 5th in our flow rankings in the region, but they could pull one off, and this could start a string of chaos that has national reverberations. If, let's say, Wisconsin and Eastern Michigan, both of whom don't have points, Michigan and Michigan State do have points. If they're outside looking in, they might knock some teams out. Someone who got 3rd in the Northeast and is pumped about that and has 3 points or whatever might be on the outside looking in if 2 teams with no points. And again, they need it more. I mean, Michigan might have sat down and done the calculations and said we can get 3rd and go. Same for Michigan State. I don't know their exact point situation. I don't see a ton of Michigan State athletes there, but Eastern Michigan, this is real at this point. This is
absolutely.
You have less than 2 miles of running to go. There's been a really significant break of the first 18, 20 athletes or so. Wisconsin also, looking strong, but it's really going to be their 4-5 that determines it for them. Wisconsin, beyond Hoare and Hardy, who we've talked about, they have Ben Eidenschink.
Michigan State does have 3 runners in this pack, so Michigan State is there. They are. They've been hiding towards the back, but they are there.
So you see, now Michigan, this is huge. They have 2 more runners in that second group, and that's Michigan's top 5. So I think Eastern Michigan and Michigan are our top 2 teams right now. I also do not see I think that's 5 athletes for Michigan right there. So I think Michigan, depending on where Eastern Michigan's number 5 is winning this race. But Eastern Michigan and Wisconsin are running out of their shoes right now.
And Michigan State is there. The Michigan State's got at least 4 guys.
Is that 4?
Yeah, I think there was a guy on the other side there. Or at least 3. Yeah, this is going to come down. 4th and 5th runners are going to have to really step up their game. You see those 2 guys from Michigan.
Oh, and that's a Wisconsin. That's a Wisconsin top. The W is faded, but I'm almost certain. Let's see, 56. No, that's not a Wisconsin top. That's apologies for
Could be Wright State.
Yes, that you are right. That is.
Oliver Hoare, Big Ten champion.
He's looking very comfortable, as you see the Michigan tattoo, the Michigan athlete, 17-16. I haven't talked a lot about that. That's Ben Flanagan, the Canadian. Now we're really cranking. This is a single file. We hadn't seen this before. We hadn't seen these guys kind of spread out.
Single file into the wind, and they're making their moves now. They'll be coming up to 8K once they make the turn at the north side of the course, and that last 2K is, I think it's one of the most painful 2Ks in any cross country course because it's just grueling psychologically. You can see it, you can think you feel it, but you don't. You are so far from the finish. Really, you kind of see it on your right, and then you go around a bend, and it's in front of your face 700 meters away. As these guys now. So you see the 8K marker. They're going to go do this little loop and come back. They're going to run right past that 8K marker we just saw. Then they dip down into the center of the course, and they go out on the last big finger. Here you can see on the course. The worst part on the second loop is they get this little indention at the north side. It's right about 9 kilometers into the race, and so you turn towards the finish, but you're not going towards the finish.
And then
you got to come back
away.
out. Yeah, I mean that's mentally one of the toughest things about this course. Here's the 8K mark. Let's see what they're going to hit.
Wow, really for the first time, kind of seeing some grimaces. Ben Flanagan, Hoare, really cranking this race, and I think that's 62 of Eastern Michigan. So just under 25. So they've cranked it down a little bit these last couple Ks as Hoare, Flanagan, and then 62 out of Eastern Michigan. That is Hlynur Andresson, the MAC champion, as Eastern Michigan 1-2 in the MAC. They're trying to pull off a monumental upset here. So
if it keeps running like this, they will. This is fantastic.
This is a great break for Hoare, Flanagan, and again, we've talked about running conservatively, but Wisconsin, because they don't have the points, they can't lead. They gotta run as hard as they can and worry about next week, and they get to next week.
Right.
Because so Hoare, him getting first or second could be the difference between them going to Louisville or not.
That's a good point.
And so Anderson, same with Eastern Michigan, and then Flanagan, Eastern Michigan and Michigan, the Wolverines themselves are in a much better position with their performance at Wisconsin, and even if somehow Wisconsin ends up beating Michigan here, Michigan will have another point because that will probably mean Wisconsin's in the meet.
Mm-hmm.
So now an Indiana runner on the far side, but you see these guys taking the 2 different
tangents so to speak.
approach. Yeah, but here we got some team scores. All right, Michigan with 64, Michigan State 70. This is going to be a hell of a last 2K as Wisconsin
72.
2 points on the outside. So right now I would say that Wisconsin and Eastern Michigan are not going to Louisville, but even Eastern Michigan 19 points out. A lot can happen, and that we saw that between Syracuse and Colorado. You've seen that on your Arkansas teams. Wow, Wisconsin is just 2 points out.
Wow.
As we update, Eastern Michigan 22 points out, and Purdue is right there as well. But
where's McBurn? Because he's blowing a gasket right now. He's yelling at his guys. He's telling them to get going. 2 points. You pass a couple guys, and that's the swing right there. So
yeah, I mean, who knows? And if Flanagan got across the mat first, or whatever. So right now, Michigan in control. Michigan State comfortable. Those 2 teams probably headed to Louisville, Wisconsin, and now Eastern Michigan's number 5. Oh, that's devastating because they might have the best top 4 in the meet, and they must not have a 5. That's got to hurt right now for Eastern Michigan.
Still got the Aussie running hard. He's working. He has definitely put the hammer down the last kilometer or so.
Tell you what, Flanagan and Anderson look comfortable, though. I mean,
they really do.
They're kind of using him, and I thought for a minute that in the women's race that Marcy was going to do that to receiver, but sometimes when you're the best athlete, you don't mind, letting the guys run off you. You're kind of feeling yourself up there. As Flanagan now is kind of getting up next to Hoare.
Mm-hmm. So they're up at the most northern tip of this course now, okay? So they're going to turn back south, go towards the finish line, and then they got to U-turn again, go back to the top of the course. And this is, I think, mentally the hardest part. You know you're close. You're coming up on 9K here in a little bit. So, you know, it's got 3+ minutes of running left, but it's going to hurt. Here's
so
our
there's
9K
9
mark.
at 28 minutes. Flanagan with the great bushy mustache. A little contact between him and Hoare. Hoare doesn't look super comfortable as Flanagan now is making the move. Michigan, you know, they don't want to take any chances here with Wisco and Michigan State right behind them. Kind of a repeat of the Big Ten meet. At Big Tens, it went Michigan beat Michigan State by 11, who beat Wisco by 6.
And we're
That's almost identical
we're
standings right now.
Same thing here.
And Eastern Michigan, you know, no consolation to them right now, but you know, beating all the Big Ten teams except for those 3. Something they can feel good about in a couple months. Right now, they really want to get in that top 2, and they're only about 20 points out. As Ben Flanagan, the Canadian, is now
hammer.
Wow, he looks much. And Anderson looks comfortable, but he doesn't look super interested in joining him. As Hoare is kind of hurting. Anderson goes around him now. Flanagan up this, as you said, that little incline before the turn, and now we're going to come around. Once they kind of come around that bend, it's 600 meters to go, and anything can happen once you get in there. Anderson has gone around Hoare completely.
Hoare's hurting. He is.
This could be a problem for Wisconsin.
Struggle mode. He's got to hold that 3rd spot for them. Ben Flanagan, the Canadian from Ontario, he's been the team captain for 4 years. And
how about Flanagan? Only 6th at Big Tens.
I know.
Behind 5 guys who are at this meet, and he might win this race. He's got a huge gap over Anderson now.
This is peaking at the right time. I mean, this is when you want to be hitting your stride, you know, pun intended, I guess. But he'll have the wind at his back as he turns onto the home stretch. So right now he can pretty much see the finish line, and it's just about putting his head down, trying to stay relaxed, and fighting all the way through.
This is a tremendous run for Ben Flanagan. Didn't run at Great Lakes last year. Just 22nd at Wisco, 6th at Big Tens. Didn't make it out of East prelims and track in the 10K, and he is going to win this race as the clock ticks over 30. Flanagan, that lead is growing over Anderson as he looks back. Doesn't see anyone too close to him, so it's Ben Flanagan on the very long straight. He's still looking around. You kind of just think, oh, come on, man, get to the finish.
It is the longest 600 meters
It's
you're
brutal.
ever
We
gonna
kind of
run.
get a wide shot here. There we go. Flanagan now. Anderson. Wow.
2
Now
Wisconsin
Joe
guys.
Hardy. You see on the wide on the left, he's got to cut in a little bit. Is that the fence is coming up? So it's Flanagan, Anderson, Hoare. Then I think that's Makepeace of Butler, Hardy. I see the 4. Oh, Eastern Michigan has the. You see the 4 bright shorts.
Number 5.
If they can get number 5, they might win this, but they just don't have a 5. Michigan was leading this deep into it. Flanagan with a comfortable win. Ben Flanagan.
Hoare and Anderson are going to have a tight finish here for the 2nd place spot.
So Ben Flanagan wins it. Let's take a look. Let's keep an eye on the finish here.
Anderson comes across in 2nd. Indiana, great run by that individual.
Wow, so then Michigan State and Michigan each have 2.
And Wisconsin's got 2.
Now Michigan State, I believe the first to 3. There's Butler.
Good run from the
2
Butler.
from Butler. Wow, so Michigan and
Butler's
Michigan
good
State battling it out. Eastern Michigan and Wisconsin. I think that's 4 for – now it's 4 for Eastern Michigan. Now it's 4 for Michigan.
And Michigan State.
Wow, so Michigan and Michigan State. Now it's 4 for – all right, so that's Michigan's going to win this meet.
Yep, that's their
That's
5th
4
guy.
for Eastern Michigan. That's 4 for Wisconsin. That's 6 for Michigan. That's 3 or 4 for Butler,
Here
I
comes
think.
Michigan State.
So that's Michigan State. This might be Wisconsin. If this is so Michigan, Michigan State, they might have locked up the only 2 bids here.
Looks like the top 2
Depends
teams
at
for sure.
wow, just Eastern Michigan, just no 5th as they had tremendous top 4. Now
Oh,
Wisconsin has
goodness.
5 across. Wisconsin, I don't think is going to. No, I think that was right state, but Wisconsin has 4 across. Wow, now you see the flood of about 2 guys a second here.
This is it. This is what we talked about. You know, it's 15 seconds, and you're talking like 50 spots. You know.
Right, about 2 athletes per second now, and that's Eastern Michigan's 5. That's not going to cut it, and that I think that's Wisconsin's 6. So Wisconsin might have missed NCAAs again after like a 40-year streak. But it's going to be tight between Michigan, Michigan State, Wisco. And we're going to have, so like in the women's race, we will have a pretty significant wait for the team scores. We'll try to get those to you as quickly as possible.
They're waiting for everyone to get across that line so they can compile them and get everyone's point counted for. Still a pretty good time. I mean, under 33 minutes on this course is nothing to balk
on this
at.
day on a freezing cold